You know what? I've had it. I've really had trying to deal with all of these different problems, and I think it's time that we make a change once I get the money to do it. I'm going electric. The biggest reason why I'm actually making this announcement video is because this is a controversial thing right now. Sure, going to electric is a good thing, but also it's a bad thing because that's what the government wants you to do. Again, no politics allowed, so do not get political in my comment section. The reason why I'm actually switching to electric has nothing to do with politics. It has nothing to do with the government. Okay, well, very small percentage, but pretty much nothing to do with it. It's very negligible. And it all has things to do with current cars that the way they are. Let's actually get into the reason why I want to switch to an electric car. Believe me, I have debated this for quite a long time, and after a lot of spare time thinking to myself about, okay, is this something you really want to do? Because there are some issues with doing this, believe it or not. Let's actually get into explaining why. First of all, whenever you want to make a change or a dramatic change in your life, it's pretty much because you're frustrated with the way things currently are. Obviously, I already own my car, Red Fox, and for the most part, she's pretty good, except we got a few problems that are really getting on my nerves and are really jacking up my bills in terms of keeping that thing running. Instead of talking about it in here, why don't we actually just talk about these issues in the car?
Alright, so now that we're inside Red Fox, let's actually discuss the issues that this car has. If you need a short answer, first of all, the short answer is she's basically just getting tired. This is like a 15-year-old car, for crying out loud.
Duh.
But here's a basic laundry list of issues that I'm currently dealing with right now. First thing, we have another bearing issue. Yes, despite the I have replaced front right, the rear left, the rear right, and the front left, all four bearings, we have yet again another bearing issue. Oh, this is so frustrating because, in case I haven't made this point clear over my previous videos, a bearing costs $100. Every single time a bearing on this thing goes bad, that's a $100 replacement. Not cheap. Another thing that just bothers me about this car is just, well, take a look at the outside condition. The grille has a puncture mark after that accident I was in. The bumper is cracked. The headlight is cracked. There's a giant dent in the side of my door. She don't look pretty, if I'm being honest. And okay, I can deal with that if I'm gonna be buying cheap, but after I've invested this much money into it, I'm a little concerned. I'm just mad the fact that I've had to invest this much money in the car, and yet it still looks like I'm driving just a piece of junk that barely works. Another problem I have is there are so many weird things about this car, either just features not working or just very poorly placed. We have that door lock there, the back left door. The door lock on that doesn't work. Okay, it does, but it doesn't work all the time. Sometimes it locks, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it unlocks, sometimes it doesn't. And whenever it doesn't unlock, when I want to access that back door, which I need to be honest, I access that door very, very frequently. This is so frustrating every single time when that door is still locked and I need to get in there. Because I end up having to, I just shut this door, so I gotta reopen this door, reach around for the lock back there. Thank goodness they placed it close to the driver's seat. It's frustrating. It really is. Another issue I have, well, actually it's the back right door. It doesn't open. Yeah, no matter what I try, the back right door does not open. So if you want to access the rear seat, there's only one way to do it. You could crawl through the front too. I mean, thank goodness this also has a 6th passenger seat, though. If you take a look at it, she don't look pretty. Cargo flexibility is also a bit of an issue with this car. I mean, the trunk is spacious, the rear seat is spacious. But what if you need to stick, I don't know, on a longer item or a larger box per se that just doesn't fit in the trunk? Well, all you get in this car is a center pass-through. That's it. And the last issue about this car that drives me is just so nuts, and this was just poor placement. Why is my trunk button in the glove box? That is the worst place to put any trunk button. I mean, I've seen so many different places that are much better than the glove box. There's to the left of the steering wheel, right next to the headlight control. There's somewhere on the door. Some do it in the ceiling. Some have it, well, not in the glove box. The final and probably the most important issue right now is I actually have the check engine light on, and that is not good. Not only does that mean, okay, there's a potential problem with the engine, but it actually, believe it or not, turns off some features that are really handy, especially during the cold, like for example, remote start. Yes, remote start does not work when the check engine light is on. That has been proven with our silver car over there. That has also been proven with this car right now, because believe it or not, the check engine light is still on in that silver car, and remote start doesn't work. And because now the check engine light's on in this thing, remote start doesn't work, which really sucks, especially in the winter when it's freezing cold outside. Luckily enough, I've actually gone to AutoZone and they scanned the computer for free. Thank you for doing it for free, AutoZone. That is a really nice service. So here are the actual lights that I have going on right now. Okay, so it checks for 3 lights. The anti-lock braking system, which I am very shocked is actually okay, because ever since I installed that 3rd bearing, my ABS has been going off like nuts. Yeah, if you own a Buick Lucerne, I know there's not that many that do. If you own a Buick Lucerne and you need a bearing replacement, do not buy DriveWorks bearings. They are trash. Service interval, evidently that's fine. So the powertrain system is the biggest thing that's triggering, is the biggest light that's triggered, and that's what deactivates remote start because it doesn't want the engine running in that time. So let me see. Here's the actual error code that got the light to trigger. P0128. That is, evidently, that sensor is an ECT sensor below thermostat regulating temperature. So basically it's my temperature sensor, which actually is a bit of a critical component with an engine. It needs to shut itself off in case it overheats, and you need to know if that engine gets hot. The temperature sensor can also detect, hey, where'd our coolant go? You might have a coolant leak because the engine's getting a little hot. Strangely enough, it might just be the wiring of that because the check engine light disappeared yesterday. I kid you not. Let me actually test that right now. See if the check engine light's still here or not. Oh no, it's back. The check engine light's back. Darn it. We can do a quick test right now. Okay, that is weird. Now the check engine light disappeared. Okay, so from the looks of it, this is actually a wiring problem. So I have to dig into my car's wiring system and figure out what the deal is. Because evidently that temperature sensor is not getting power in some way. And honestly, this list of issues right now is just scratching the surface. There's a lot more issues that I have with this car that I'm not going to name because there's either so small I can't even remember it. But yeah, this is pretty much the laundry list of the biggest issues I have to deal with. It's annoying.
So here's the biggest reason that I actually want to switch to electric. It has nothing to do with the government at all, or gas prices rising. That is a part of it, but this is not the biggest reason at all. In fact, it's only a small reason. The biggest reason why I want to switch to electric is because of maintenance. It doesn't require as much maintenance. I have already stated this in my gas versus electric video. Electric cars are easier to maintain, and the reason for this is because there are less things to go wrong. In a gas car, you have an engine, a cooling system for that engine, a transmission. If you have all-wheel drive, then there's a transfer case. You have drive shafts and then differentials and then slightly longer shafts to connect the differentials to the wheels and such. It gets complicated. And then you also have to include other systems like the braking system, the fueling system, and the general electronic system. There's 4 main systems, and all of these systems, for the most part, are pretty much as complex as you can get. Like, for example, the main power drive system is made up of 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 5 components. Meanwhile, what is an electric drivetrain system made up of? Well, you pretty much have a battery. You have a cord that goes from the battery to the motor, and then you got the motor itself. Well, and then you have the other systems, like the electronic system is already integrated into the drive system because it's already got a battery. So, okay, the electronic system is already integrated. There is a cooling system as well, and that's because batteries are a little particular about what temperatures they like to be at. Also, electric motors as well. And then there's the braking system. There's actually fewer systems because there's so little complexity. Like, seriously, it's just battery to motor. It's that simple with the drive system. The rest is all the braking system and the electronic system. So because there are fewer components in that means there's less things that you have to maintain. I'm not saying there's no maintenance at all, but there's just less things to maintain. And this is one of the biggest frustrations I have with my car. There are so many things that can possibly go wrong that when something does, it either becomes an annoyance, primarily because I'm tired of dealing with all this maintenance things, because then my car becomes slightly unsafe to drive. A lock doesn't exactly make your car unsafe, but if there's something wrong with the drive system of it, then that means your car becomes a little more unsafe to drive. It's a little more unsafe for others because what if, I don't know, like say something completely busts altogether and you have no control over it? That's dangerous for others because if you have no control over it, you could potentially crash into someone. And because there are more things to go wrong, that means there are more instances where you might actually have to pay more to actually get these things fixed. This is pretty much the biggest reason I'm going to address right right now. It's maintenance. It has nothing to do with gas prices. I mean, this is one reason, but it's not that. Another reason why I want an electric car, and the specific one I want is a Tesla, is actually due to space reasons. No, this is not true of every electric car, and this is why I'm saying Tesla specifically. Primary reason is actually because due to the fact that there's fewer components, and due to the way that some of these components are actually structured, it actually allows these companies to structure the interiors and all the different spaces, quite often improve it actually. So in an electric car, the battery is pretty much on the floor, and because the way that the actual thing that moves the car, the motors, is not connected via a drive shaft, that means you don't have to have this hump in the middle. The person sitting in the center seat, they actually have a flat floor for once. That's nice. I've been in a car with a flat floor before, and I really like it. I really wish more cars had that. But quite often, the reason why they don't is because they need to make room for that drive shaft. And because there's no transmission and transfer case up front for the all-wheel drive systems, that means the center console area can actually go deeper and closer to the floor instead of being raised up a tad. Now, sure, having it raised up a tad is nice, that way you don't have to reach as far. But the point is, you get to store more stuff. You get more flexibility in terms of storing your stuff. That is nice. And then because you don't have a giant engine up front, some manufacturers fail to do this. I don't understand why, because it is, in my opinion, a big missed opportunity. In Teslas and many other electric cars, you get a frunk, a trunk in the frunk, because there's no engine. So why not put that extra space to good use? I like that idea. So there are many benefits actually to actually having an electric setup. Not only because, due to the battery and all the other systems and all that being less and fewer, space can be managed much more efficiently. I don't have any issues with the space management in my car at the moment, well, except for one. When it comes to the rear seats folding down, all I get is a center pass-through, which makes hauling a few things a little extra challenging. I've had a few instances where it's become a problem. For the most part, it's fine. And then the last reason why I actually want to go electric. This reason is actually because it's for this YouTube channel. Okay, well, wouldn't any car you get be for this YouTube channel? I need to ask you a quick question. Would you be more likely to click on a video of, let's say, a Chevy Impala or a Mercedes, just some Mercedes? Would you click on a video about a Chevy or a Mercedes? You'd probably want to click on a video about a Mercedes. And this is the biggest thing. Electric cars right now, you might think they are, you might think they're not. I respect your opinions as to whether they are or not in your opinion. But we can't ignore the fact that electric cars right now is a very hot topic. Be it either the government forcing people to switch or people actually realizing, hey, electric cars aren't exactly as bad as we all thought they are. Electric cars are a hot topic right now. Actually, I want to advocate that they're not as bad as you actually think they are. In my gas versus electric video, I gave reasons as to why each side has an advantage. Now, I've already given you my advantages of owning my car right now, and it's the fact that I get a lot of savings in terms of the upfront costs because, well, they're generally cheaper to build, and because this is technologies that we've all known for quite a long time. Despite my age, actually, I'm very shocked about this. Despite my age, you want to know how much my insurance costs? It's $25 a month. That's pretty good for insurance. And so I pointed out these advantages, and I am enjoying these advantages every day due to the fact that I've saved some money on getting the car doesn't look its prettiest. For the most part, it's been fairly reliable. It doesn't break that often. We have a few issues here we've addressed already, but for the most part, I've actually been able to start it up every time and it works. The only time where that hasn't happened is actually when I bought the car and it had a bad battery. But after I got that battery replaced, it started up every time. That's my biggest thing I ask for my car pretty much all the time. And I'm getting savings in terms of my insurance because this is known technologies that we've had for quite a long time. And even though everybody already knows this, but I've also decided to actually pretty much vlog my life of owning a gas car. But you know what? I think it's time we actually switch it up to owning an electric car. What is it like to live with one? Because honestly, they are very different. So different. They involve two completely different lifestyles. I actually want to cover that on this YouTube channel. And Teslas also are a very popular car right now. Many Tesla channels have been getting lots of clicks. And I've also been making more Tesla content, but the reason why I probably don't get as many clicks is because, well, it's pretty much Tesla news, and I don't exactly have a Tesla myself, but I'd love to make content like that. I'd honestly honestly really do. So those are my 3 biggest reasons. Maintenance costs, that's the biggest. The channel, space efficiency, and gas prices. Notice how I said gas prices last, and you know what? This is last but least. That's why I want to actually go electric. When I go electric, what are my options to choose from right now? Because unfortunately, the options are not exactly the best. So right now, electric cars for the most part are all expensive except for the Hyundai Ioniq 5, I think it was, and the Volkswagen ID4. Unfortunately, the Chevy Bolt has had some issues, and I wouldn't have actually minded driving a Chevy Bolt, except there are quite a few issues right now. Those are the cheapest options, but I've actually decided to narrow down my list of features, and I've determined, you know what? I'm really just looking for a Tesla. Right now, we all know Tesla, they've pretty much mastered making an electric car. They are the standard at this point, and that's because they've been making electric cars for 10 years now, a decade. Technically longer if you count the Roadster, but I'm just talking about the Model S. Tesla knows how to do this, and because of that, I can trust them that they're going to make a decent electric car. And even though, yeah, there are people rant on them about their quality control and such, honestly, you probably wouldn't complain about Tesla's quality control in terms of panel fitment if you get in my car. My door panel is actually loose. One of my doors doesn't even open, for crying out loud. The quality control doesn't bug me. I've looked at so many different Teslas actually, and for the most part, the panel caps, they're not excessively bad, especially if you look at the car from a distance. But the biggest reason why I actually want a Tesla compared to the rest of the market, not that exactly that all the others are just bad, although a lot of the other EV manufacturers right now are really struggling to actually make these cars. The biggest reason why I actually don't want them doesn't have anything to do with the fact that they're inexperienced, because honestly, I wouldn't mind actually testing out like an ID4 or an Ioniq 5 or something of that nature. But the reason why I don't want to get that is because of one big, very important detail: the charging network. If you watched MKBHD's video about 1,000 miles in a gas car, a Tesla, and a Mustang Mach-E, there was one thing about it that kind of seems very alarming, especially to all of the other electric car manufacturers, excluding Tesla: the charging network. The charging network for CCS, this is the most common one we use in the US. There's another standard that I can't think of at the moment, but CCS right now in the US is a nightmare to deal with. I love Tesla's supercharging stations for the reasons of they actually tell you how many charging stations are available, how many are occupied at the moment, what speeds they charge at, and if there's any broken chargers, they'll even tell you that, hey, one of the chargers here isn't working, so be advised. And the best part about that is it updates in live time. It updates in real time. This is something that the CCS network doesn't have. To my surprise, actually, during that road trip, I don't know if this was just a fluke or what, but during that road trip, half the time when the CCS car, the Mustang, actually made it to the charging stations, literally 50% of the time, they were broken, which means this CCS network is so unreliable. Something I really don't want to deal with. So yeah, even though Tesla, you can't exactly hit the range that they're targeting, you can't really hit it. I would rather take not exactly hitting that range that Tesla is quoting than getting to an electric charging station only to find out that it doesn't work. I don't want to say they're bad cars, because honestly, they're not really that bad, but I don't want them because I'm worried I can't charge them if I go on road trips. Tesla it is. All right, so now that we got that settled, and even though, yes, I know Teslas are expensive right now, I'm hoping that the prices drop in the near future when I actually am able to purchase one. But you know what? Let's actually spec out a Tesla that I'm interested in right now. All right, so let's actually open up Safari and go to the Tesla webpage. All right, so we all know that Teslas are expensive right now, and I know it's not convenient. Right now, I just want to ignore pricing and actually just explain the specific one that I'm looking for. So I'm looking for a sedan. I want to put my money where my mouth is right now, especially because I've mentioned many times, sedans are awesome. They have a purpose in this market. I'm going to put my money where my mouth is and get a sedan. When it comes to the sedan, will I get the Model S or the Model 3? As much as I really like the Model S and all that, there's just the slight problem. It's really expensive and I'm trying to save money. Even though there's some things about the Model 3 that I don't like for example, I don't like how it doesn't doesn't have that gauge cluster like the Model S does. It has the gauge screen right in front of the steering wheel. Then again, I also don't like how the Model S has the yoke and such. I've decided to pick my poison in these areas, and I've decided, you know what? Just be reasonable and get a Model 3. So we're going to custom order a Model 3. We're not going to view existing inventory because I don't know how used cars are, and if I'm especially going to pay this much money for a car, then I'm going to make sure that I get a decent value. Okay, so I've currently put all of the options to stock, and that way I can actually just go through them. So, all right, this is the cheapest possible Model 3 you can get. Oh, wait, hold on. Let's adjust these prices here. I really hate how Tesla has this potential savings thing and then this purchase price thing. Now that we are actually on purchase price, let's actually go through all of this stuff. So this is the cheapest Model 3 you can get, which is about $47,000. I really hope that price goes down by the time I'm actually able to purchase one. This is obviously the standard range one, or I guess now it's the rear wheel drive one. So I guess I need to pick my range. Which one do I actually want to get in terms of range? And here's the thing, because it gets so cold here, the battery pretty much will drop to nearly 50% capacity. Not just because the temperature makes it hard for the battery to do its work, but also I'm going to be running the heat. I'm going to be running the heated seats. I believe this thing has a heated steering wheel. Don't quote me on that. Because of that, I'm going to be sucking a lot of energy out of that, especially during the winter. So I definitely want to get as much range as I possibly can. So I'm going to go with the long range. Tailosive EV is really going to hate me right now, but I'm just doing this for my own handicap, especially as someone with range anxiety. I'm doing it for my sanity. So now we get to this cool thing here called paint color. Now, I've actually made a video talking about, does car color matter? Each car color has its own set of advantages in terms of visibility, because believe it or not, the biggest reason why you might want to be picky with your colors is, well, not just playing favorites, but also just so that way you can actually have a very visible car. So you would think then, okay, well, in that case, you'd want to get a white car, right? Not if you live where I live, where it snows a ton. So no, we're not going to go white, actually. We're also not going to go black either, because that's really hard to see at night. And honestly, oh wow. Yeah, I do not like that. I don't like all black cars. I've actually been snuck up on by a black car before. And then there's also the Midnight Silver Metallic, which it's a gray. I mean, it's fine, but it's really not my favorite color. That's pretty much leaving me with either this, I've been debating about this for a long time, red multi-coat or the blue metallic, deep blue metallic. So which one have I chosen? Red or blue? I wanted to go red originally, and that's because this is not my dream Tesla. My dream Tesla is actually a Model X, and when I get that, then I'm going to get it in this blue color. Then I realized, you know what? Red Tesla next to a red Buick, it gets a little boring, so I decided, you know what? Why don't we actually just change up the color anyways, and we're going to go blue. Besides, blue's my favorite color. And it's $1,000 cheaper too. Yeah, the red is $2,000 and the blue is $1,000. So, okay, we get to save money there. How about the wheels? So right now, the Aero wheels that I have selected, these technically get you the best range, except there's something I'm actually going to do in my car, and that's because there's something that's Tesla done that's really drove me so mad. I do not like this black trim, and because of that, I am actually going to wrap all of the trim bits. The car color is going to stay the same, but the door handles, the window trim, the camera accent piece right here, yeah, that's going to be wrapped to a chrome. Chrome with these black wheels, I don't like that. Then for some reason, I like larger wheels. I know I'm crazy, and it does technically hurt my range, but it's not by that much. I'll get these sport wheels here too. So that way, when I actually wrap these black bits chrome, it'll look nice. It'll look really nice. Next up, we have to choose is the interior. Now, unfortunately, this is one thing that I really do not like about the Model 3 and the Model Y. Not only do I not like how there's no gauge cluster here, I've driven a Saturn with a center gauge cluster like in here before. Don't say, well, you'll get used to it. Try me. I've actually driven one. I did not get used to it, and I hated it. So, yeah, I do not like that, but for all intents and purposes, I'm going to try again. But here comes the interior color options, and this is my biggest problem. So, I like the wood trim. I really like the wood trim that this black interior has, but I don't like how it's pretty much the basic boring black, so I want to change it up a bit. So let's go white. Well, what? Well, now we lost that wooden trim. This is something that I don't like. This is a pick your poison scenario right here. So I've decided to just go with the white interior. That's just my preference. As much as I really like the wood there, I just decided, you know what? I like the white. And there's more contrast going around than just black. I find this interior more aesthetically pleasing. So yeah, I'm getting the white interior. And then the last bit, full self-driving. I'm not getting this because unlike a lot of people, I actually enjoy driving. And because this is definitely a driver enthusiast car, it's not as driver enthusiast focused as the Model
Model S is, but still, this car is fun to drive, I hear. So because of that, I'm not exactly interested in getting the full self-driving, and even then, I can just rent it if I want to use it. I'm actually going to skip full self-driving, especially because, let's be real here, for what it's able to do, it's not worth $12,000. It's not. And so that's the car that I'm currently looking at purchasing. So if we actually take a look at all of that and quickly pull up my calculator for tax purposes. So let me see, our total price is $57,990. We're going to multiply that by my tax, which is 1.06. So that's about $61,469.40. Yeah, that's expensive. Hopefully the price goes down by that time. So how am I actually going to purchase this, and can I give myself a timeline? I could pay this whole thing in cash, but I honestly really don't want to. I'm surprised it doesn't actually include my taxes right there. Let's actually put in my state there. Hold on, is that including taxes? Okay, I can't tell. Is this price including taxes or not? Let me see. I need a state that does this 7% tax. California. All right, so let's just change that from Michigan to California. Does that change it? No, so that's not including the taxes. Okay. All right, so let's change my delivery state back to Michigan. So I could pay this all up front, but depending on my financial situation, I don't like going into loans and such. Now, here's the thing. Anyone, and this is advice for anyone, do not get a Tesla on a lease. Now, on most leasing options, you actually get the option to keep the car. When it comes to leasing a Tesla, you do not have the option to still own the car. You do have to return it and get a new one. That means you're dumping a whole bunch of money for something you're only going to be using temporarily. I highly recommend you don't use a lease. So I could pay full price here, but if I want to, and depending on my financial situation, and the only way I can do this is if I actually make a very large down payment. I'll make a down payment of, let's say, $40,000. I don't like to have it last for a long period of time, so let's go here. 36 months, because I don't like paying subscriptions for long. To me, this would be reasonable. So if I can actually gain a total of $40,000 for a down payment and can still make about, let's just say, $1,000 a month. Again, I am not in this financial situation at all, but hopefully I can get in a situation where this might change. These are just some things that I'm looking at. So yeah, this is the car I'm actually considering, and let me know what you think about my decision on the car I want.
If all goes according to plan, which unfortunately doesn't happen all the time, I am hoping that my next car will be a Tesla. I ideally wanted it to actually be a Model X. Let's be real here. That's really expensive, and I should not really be spending that much money on a car. It's over $100,000. I really should not be spending that much money on a car, especially at my age. Yeah, I'm going to compromise and also still put my money where my mouth is and get a sedan either way. So you know what? Model 3 it is. If all goes according to plan, hopefully I can get this car in a few years, and hopefully Red Fox will actually still be in one piece within that time period. But also, I'm going to point this out, even when I get the Model 3, I'm actually not going to sell Red Fox. And it's because I also still want to do plenty of comparisons between gas and electric, especially in person. Like, I've already been telling you these differences just on a camera at my desk, but wouldn't it be even cooler to do even more videos with them side by side? That would be awesome. These are my plans for a car right now. I know they might seem far-fetched and such, but I have standards too. Let's hope things actually go according to plan, because I think I'm ready to make the switch. So the biggest thing I ask of you is please don't hate me for my decision. I know some people may not agree with me. I've just looked at it, I've analyzed it over and over again, and even though, yes, there are many reasons why it'll be a little more difficult to use an electric car, like for example, charging. There's not a supercharger in this entire area, but you know what? Maybe if I can actually get the channel big enough, I can start advocating for some places here to actually gain some superchargers, which would be really helpful because actually, believe it or not, this area I live in is a tourist attraction in the winter. Quite literally, we get many snowmobilers. All right, thank you for watching. Do me a favor and interact with the stuff below. My name is DeWolf, and I'm Alpha, signing out.